Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric, and my last update for the 2022 Tour de Fleece. While I am recording this a little bit before the wearing of the yellow jersey for the women's race, I did want to try to get this video together and uploaded before the weekend was over. And I also wanted to be able to share my excitement of finally finishing a project with my Gelato inspired fibers and yarn. So let's just dig in. For those of you that have been watching my Tour de Fleece this year, you will know I had two main goals and one overlapping goal, one overshadowing goal. So my overshadowing goal, the goal that I really wanted, the thing I really wanted to have accomplished with Tour de Fleece was finding my mojo, finding my spinning mojo, and finding my creative mojo again. And I can report that Tour de Fleece has helped me do that. So much so that I haven't had as much spinning time as I normally do during Tour de Fleece, because I actually have managed to get back into my craft rooms, my sewing room, and I've been cleaning and organizing. And that is the first time I've really been able to do that in 6 months. And so, yay for getting my mojo back. It does mean that my Cormo BFL fleece that I was spinning, challenge number 2, has not been finished. It is still, I still have the wheel, and as soon as I'm done with this video, that wheel will come back in front of my chair. I still have my wheel set up to spin this fleece, and I still have the fleece in the basket waiting to be finished. But not wanting to wait till all of it was spun, I did want to share. I have started a shawl, and I don't know exactly what I was thinking, what I was planning, but I'm making a circular shawl. And I have done a circular shawl, a pie shawl, but I have never done a circular shawl like this. And I've been having fun. It's just a basic garter stitch with yarn over increases, and it is coming along. There's spokes, and it's round, and it does fit around my neck nicely, and it's going to be whatever it's going to be. But it is it seems to be a wonderful way to use this Cormo BFL. It is, I think, for most people, it would be considered next to skin soft. For me, it's borderline. But it has some of the characteristics that you'd want to have a nice open, lacy type pattern. So it seems to meet kind of both criteria. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Something tells me that it may very well be another one of my wonderful squishy, take it everywhere for cooler temperature, the transitional seasons type shawl. So it's definitely going to be lighter weight than my other shawls, my big triangular shawls that I have. So I'm looking forward to it. This will be, I dropped the yarn, sorry. This will be a work in progress that I will hopefully bring updates to you as we go into the fall crafting season, which I know it is not autumn yet. I'm thinking about autumn a lot. I'm probably, like many people, dreaming of autumn temperatures a lot. Or for those of you that are in the other hemisphere, spring. The cooler temperatures that aren't really, really hot or really, really cold, I think we all love, especially as spinners and knitters. We certainly can enjoy our spinning and knitting for the winter months. But it's those transitional months, those months when we go when we don't know if it's going to be hot or if it's going to be cold or if it's going to be somewhere in between during the day, those months are such a wonderful time to use our hand knits, especially shawls. So I am dreaming of autumn. And before I show you my autumn-inspired usage of my Gelato yarns, I want to show you really quickly a quick last bit of Tour de Fleece project that I did. And I just shared this on Instagram. I think it was yesterday. I took all the leftovers from my Gelato-inspired spin, all of the carding waste, all of the neps that I didn't want to have spun into my neps and noils and textured yarns. I took all of that and I blended it into a bat, and then I realized that I had left some out, so I reblended the bat, and then I spun it as a single, did a center pull ball to ply it. I haven't even counted up how much fiber it is. I don't know how much it weighs. I have no idea how I'm going to use it. And because the fleece that I spun it with was actually, I'm not sure if it is the same sheep as the one that I used as the base. I don't think it was. I think it was some fleece I'd carded up just before my Tour de Fleece carding. And it was sitting there taunting me, and I had the extra silk and the extra silk noils, and I thought, okay, let's do that. And so it's really interesting. I would say it has come out to be a bit of a cafe au lait, or even just a little mocha skein of hank of yarn. But it was a fun use of all the leftovers. It's got the green, it's got the raspberry, you know, the pistachio and the raspberry and the vanilla. It's all in there. And it was a lot of fun. So, yes, I think that I can say my mojo is back. I'm being creative. And I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. And I'm using my drum carder more. This Tour de Fleece, I've come to love my drum carder. And for those of you that have watched my other videos may know, I'm not a huge drum carder fan all the time. It has its purpose. It's a tool, but I tend to not use it as much. And oh my goodness, this Tour de Fleece, I've come to love my drum carder. I have converted over. I really enjoy it. I will be using it more going forward. So I wanted to share that one with you. And as I said, and I know I've shown pictures as I've been talking, but just the leftovers, playing around with the leftovers. I don't know what I'll do with this. Who knows what I'll end up knitting up or crocheting up with this. Maybe I'll just crochet it into a big trivet to throw on the table. Don't know, but I do know this though. When I was, and I'm about to go over to my Gelato-inspired project. When I was trying to figure out how to use my Gelato-inspired fibers, I was trying to crochet granny squares with my pistachio yarn. And let's just say I was having a bad hand day or something. It just wouldn't crochet. I couldn't, and I've talked about this before. Granny squares and I have a long history of not getting along. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And with my daughter not here to sit and hold my hand, I couldn't do it. This is fluffy yarn. And I have never crocheted a granny square with fluffy yarn. Actually, the truth is, I don't tend to crochet a lot with really fluffy yarn. And it was terrible. My hands wouldn't work. The crocheting wouldn't work. But rather than break down and weep, which was tempting, instead I got out the knitting needles. And I cast on, with the mango, a sweater for, let me put her over here, for Granny Doll. So, this is a doll that is a discontinued doll that I was able to find last year. I've talked about her in some of the stuff that I did last year or the year before. Oh my goodness, I can't remember now. It may have been the year before that I was, yes, I think it was the year before that I was making doll clothes for Granny Doll. And I have to laugh. So I don't have, I couldn't find purple glasses for Granny Doll, and most of my frames are kind of a purple tint. However, I have to say, I do have a pair, and I have been in some of my videos with them. I do have a pair of pink framed glasses. They are my very simple bifocals that I use when I'm doing my crafting, because I have found that the old standard, you can see the bifocal line, work better for me when I'm crafting than these that, of course, have all the variations of the different close-ups and distance that I need. So, Granny Doll is wearing my representation of my crafting glasses. So, all right, back to the knitting. So, Granny Doll, her outfit was inspired. She is a doll that came with these wonderful boots. So, and she is a doll that has a lot more curves than a lot of the dolls that you can get easily out there on the market. I wish she wasn't discontinued. I know a lot of people do love it. There may still be some of her dolls showing up on Etsy, not Etsy, sorry, on eBay every once in a while. But I was fortunate enough to find one that that has the gray hair like me, but she has my daughter's cheeks. So eventually this will be my daughter's. But she inspired this outfit. Granny needed a simple fall-inspired, get ready for the raking of leaves and the cooler temperatures. And because I went with a short sleeve sweater and capris that tuck into the boots, it worked really well with my tiny little hanks, little balls of Gelato inspired yarn. So, all right. So we have mango on top, pistachio for the bottom of the sweater. The trousers are butter pecan, and you'll see a line right here that you start seeing how there's the little bits of dark in it. So that's the caramel cookie crunch. Because they were small little hanks of yarn, little balls of yarn, I didn't have enough of any one fiber to do the whole thing, because Granny has some substance to her, and so she definitely needed a little more yarn than I was afraid I would have. I've almost used up all of the mango. There's a little bit of the pistachio left, but those two balls of yarn are almost completely gone. The butter pecan is getting pretty scarce, but there's a lot of the cookie crunch left. But either way, I started with, anyway, I started with a little top-down raglan sweater in a turtleneck fashion. There's a little tiny, pull up her hair, button closure here on the back. The same thing for her trousers, just a simple little button closure. When I got to down far enough to put the markers in to do the increases for the sleeves, I started doing the increases of the sleeves, and then I ran into the issue of what do I do to handle Granny's shape. And I was really pleased with this impromptu idea, because I know it's something that we can run into when we're making sweaters for ourselves. What do we do when we need to go over the expanse, but we don't want to have a lot of increases like a yoked sweater would have? We don't want an overall increase, we just want an area. And really all I ended up doing was, between the raglan sleeve increases, I did one section, one row, where I was increasing almost every other stitch. I did increase, make one between two stitches, so that's a little tiny bit of an eyelet, but not the same as you'd have if it was a yarn over. And it worked really well, nice and subtle. It gave me just the extra stitches I needed to go over her bust area. And then to do the shaping at her waist, because Granny and I have something in common. There's very little area for shaping at our waist. And so in this case, all I did was bring it up closer to the camera. You can maybe see here just a little, it's a 2x2 rib that tucks in the sweater just a tiny bit to give that little bit of a waist shaping. Then, because she has a lot of bottom in the back here, not in the front, but just in the back, I put a marker to indicate where the two sides were. I did a section of increases right here on the back in order to create a little skirting effect, a little gathered effect, so it blouses out here over her bottom. So, nothing complicated, just a top-down raglan with some increases in just the right place. The trousers, on the other hand, whoops, sorry, let me put her over here. The trousers, on the other hand, let's just say I was inspired by a top-down sock. Not a toe-up, which I like to use, but a top-down heel-turn sock. The difference is that, unlike most of our heels, gradual increase would never work because Granny has a lot of bottom. So I did a huge amount of increases right there. Then I started doing the decreases. Then I picked up stitches, brought it all back into the round, leaving Granny with a nice flat tummy, but plenty of fabric to go over her bottom. And let's put her over here. I am thrilled with how she turned out. I love how she looks. I love how fun this is. I love the inspiration that it gave me. It solves a couple kind of questions I've had in my own mind of how you would handle shaping for areas such as these. So I am sure I will be taking the knowledge that I gained from this project into future projects, for adult, but specifically I keep thinking of making knitted bottoms for babies and how sometimes you really need a lot of fabric in one area without having it everywhere else. So it was just a lot of fun. It brought my brain back into problem solving and thinking through the conundrums of what do I do. And yes, I don't tend to do patterns. There's probably a ton of patterns out there. I tend to just make it as I go. But as I do this, I work through what are the issues that I would run into, and I do it out of curiosity. So if I were going to try to reproduce this, if this was a doll that I thought was really readily available, I probably would have taken notes and tried to write down a little pattern to share. But it's not like the 16-inch or 18-inch dolls that I have. It's more of just trying to work through the problems of how do you get the shaping around a specific doll. And increases and decreases, that just really does work. And the lovely thing about this textured and multi-dimensional yarn, the colors change, is that it hides those increases quite well. So something to think about if you're spinning up for your own knitting projects. These textured yarns, these imperfect yarns, and these yarns that have color that vary all the way through them, they really do help hide a lot of the the imperfection in our knitting. They hide that quite a bit, but they also help hide the increases and decreases in the shaping that can sometimes show up in other yarns. So I've really been pleased with how she's turned out. I've been very pleased with what I've learned in it. I hope she inspires you to maybe try your own adjustments for your own patterns. Even if you're following somebody else's pattern, I know that especially in working with clothing, sewing clothing, very seldom do we get a good fit unless we make adjustments to fit our own specific needs. So playing around with doll size really has helped me understand a little bit more of how to make the adjustments that I would need to make for myself. So there she is. Granny is ready for the autumn temperatures and for the autumn fun that we all, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, are looking forward to. And I would imagine this would be a fabulous outfit for spring as well. Short sleeves, nice breathable wool, a lot of fun. But the autumn colors, my gelato inspired spinning, and I'm thinking, so I did got my mojo back, and I spun up some Cormo BFL, and I spun up my gelato inspired fibers and even the leftovers, and I now have a granny doll with autumn inspired clothing as well. I think Tour de Fleece has been successful for me. I think I have met my goals. I think I can honestly say that I'm happy with the results. So, I want to end this, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place. I had some difficulty with my earlier recordings, so I have no idea if I've covered everything. I apologize if I've left something out, if I have to tack something on at the end. I will make sure, and I've already posted some of the things on Instagram. There will be more of the projects on Instagram. I'll update later. But I wanted to end this video with saying Tour de Fleece did help me get my mojo back. I hope for those of you that have endured my rambling updates, have enjoyed my rambling updates, that you have gained something from my efforts. I have taken the time to unwind with Fiber and Fabric this month. I have taken the time to be kind to myself and not rush the process. And I've taken the time to heal from the things that have been weighing me down for 6 months. And I hope that in my efforts to share these videos and to share my journey, I hope that I've helped others with their journey through life and Tour de Fleece, and I hope I've helped you unwind with Fiber and Fabric.